This real estate coach had a $5 million portfolio, 20,000 followers, and a proven $4,000 coaching offer that people wanted to buy. But his sales operation was such a mess that he was stuck around $20,000 a month in revenue with his info business. And in just 12 months, after we took over, gutted, and just rebuilt his entire sales operation, we hit a record month of over $340,000 in revenue. And in this video, I'm gonna walk you through exactly how we did it, what was broken, what we changed, and the key systems that turn it around. My name is Bendik, and I run a company called Closing Consulting, where we help info, coaching, and service businesses scale from 6 to multi-7 figures by running and scaling their sales operation. So our teams have closed well into the 8 figures in client revenue across offers that are anywhere from $3,000 to $20,000 and up. And on this channel, I'm gonna share what's working, what isn't, and what are we actively doing inside of the sales ops that we manage to scale our clients' revenue. My goal with this video is very simple. I want to document the lessons that we learn, attract top-tier talent to join our team, and also find the right partners to work with by first demonstrating how we operate our sales teams. Now, let me bring it back to the start. So our client has spent about 3 years building his real estate portfolio completely from scratch. And the cool thing is that he documented his journey from the beginning. All of the lessons he learned, all the mistakes, every single real estate purchase that he made. So he built an audience of followers that were actually engaged, that loved his story. And because he was so transparent, he had so much trust. And in fact, he would get hundreds of DMs every single month from people asking him how to buy the first investment property. And so what he did is he packaged his expertise into a $4,000 mentorship with an in-depth video program, a weekly Q&A, a community to get help in the day-to-day. Pretty standard info product structure. And after launching it, him and his co-founders took the first wave of calls themselves and pretty quickly hit $10,000 to $30,000 a month. But that's really where they hit a ceiling. So to scale, what they did was building a sales team. And I'm using air quotes here because what it actually looked like was a mess. So there was no clear setter or closer roles, just a bunch of sales reps all dialing the same leads, no unified script, so everyone just sold however they wanted to, and no real sales training. So people just got tossed on calls and tried to figure it out. And because they have no CRM, leads got lost and follow-ups just didn't properly happen, and there was no KPI tracking in place. So they didn't even know where the deal's actually dying. And there were no management, no accountability, no coaching of the sales reps. And so the founders were stuck jumping on calls, still trying to put out fires, saving the month with revenue, and trying to manage a team on top of buying properties and running all of their other businesses. So to no surprise, their revenue was honestly swinging between like $15,000 to $30,000 a month, but with zero predictability. And everyone knew that this offer, as good as it is, should be doing 6 figures a month. But they were just bleeding sales left and right because their sales operation wasn't properly put together. And that's when they reached out and asked for help. So when I sat down to audit their sales operation, I didn't see a coherent system. I just saw random salespeople with some generic sales experience, and they had no idea how to sell a high ticket or life-changing offer. So we didn't try to fix a broken machine. Instead, we just decided to rebuild it from scratch. Got the whole thing. So first, we cleared out the wrong people and we brought in closers from my own network where I knew that they would be able to handle high ticket coaching offers. And then we implemented a proper structure to the entire customer acquisition process. And for the marketing team, they had to generate more warm inbound leads by posting more content, creating VSLs, and creating more lead magnets. And then for the appointment setters, they just have to quickly get in touch with all the leads that we get, see who's qualified, and then get them on the closer's calendar. And the closers then just had to show up to their calls, follow the process, and collect the cash. So think of it like a production line where each step feeds into the next one without people trying to juggle multiple responsibilities at once, because eventually they are gonna drop the ball on something. And then we designed the structure and the frameworks for each role on the sales team. And we started with the appointment setter. We got crystal clear on who is qualified for this offer. Because the thing is, if you're teaching people to buy real estate, the key constraint is whether or not they can buy a property in the next 6 months. If they can't, realistically, they're not gonna drop thousands of dollars on a program that teaches them how to do that thing. And so the setter script focused on first understanding if they have or can get access to financing within the next 6 months. And then we define what is your core problem? What's the goal behind investing in real estate in the first place? We built urgency around fixing that now and not just someday in the future. And then we got an explicit commitment. If we can help, are you ready to start that journey now? And so by the end of the setter call, the closer now had a qualified prospect on his calendar who already had thought seriously about making a change. They had clear notes on their situations and obstacles all in their CRM system, and they could use that to guide their sales call. And so the setter's real output wasn't just calls booked. It was qualified, informed prospects who show up with the right mindset, clear goals, and a sense of urgency. And then we rebuilt the entire closure process. So they picked up exactly where their setters left off. They went deeper into the prospect's current situation, their goals and their obstacles. They clarified why they've been stuck so far, increased the emotional gap between staying where they are and actually investing in themselves and starting this journey, and then walked them through the program as a bridge to cross that gap. And then they spent time helping them overcoming the fear of making a decision, making a commitment to this on that call. And before we came in, they had no idea what was actually happening in their sales process. And if you don't know where in the process you're losing the deals, how are you supposed to plug the leaks? So we implemented a proper CRM to track every lead in every step along the buying process in a simple KPI system that separated input, what's coming in, process, how well the team is handling it, and then the output, what results do they produce. And at a high level, for setters, we track things like number of dials made, pickups, real conversations, new appointments set, confirmed appointments, show rates, etc. And then for the closers, we tracked how many calls were booked, how many showed, how many offers were made to qualified buyers, close rate, cash collected per call, revenue, and so on. And so the key idea here is this: the setter's output becomes the closer's input. And so if one of those numbers is off, you know exactly which part of the system to fix, instead of just saying, sales is not working or the leads are bad. And on my channel, I also have a separate video where I show you exactly how we structure these KPI sheets and also how we feed that data into Google Looker Studio to get some visual dashboards, which just makes it easier at a glance to understand exactly what's happening in the sales process. Now, once the structure and systems were in place, it was now about doing reps and improving the process. So we ran daily huddles, reviewing yesterday's numbers and setting today's focus. We did regular call reviews for both setters and closers. And then we had tight feedback loops. Everyone knew exactly where they stood and what to improve upon. So we didn't let problems sit for months. So if show rates or off rate or close rate dipped, we could spot the pattern within days and address it. And so with that, we quickly stabilized the offer between $70,000 to $100,000 a month, purely based on organic traffic. And keep in mind, this is the exact same traffic that they had before we made all these changes. And once we had the stabilization, we added fuel to the fire. And so first, we started raising the price from $4,000 to $5,000. And because we ran such a tight sales process, the closing rate didn't budge. It was already between 40 and 55%. And then we brought in the team to run the paid ads, giving us a way to control the lead flow. And long story short, in the coming months, we cracked $100,000 months, $150,000 months, and even $200,000 a month. And so it was clear to us that our sales engine was working. And we know how to scale capacity by hiring and training the right talent to handle the increase in lead volume. So we decided to stress test the system, see just how much volume we can handle and how much cash can we produce for this client in a 30-day time period. And so as we were approaching Q4, we decided to run a Cyber Monday live event. And this was a live webinar with a 2 to 3 hour training on the coach's story and exactly how he had been so successful. And he gave a full breakdown of how to get started in real estate as a beginner. And then he pitched a time-limited discount for people who attended live and who then booked a call within the next 72 hours. And to run you through the numbers here, we had over 1,000 people register for the event, around 600 people showed up live, and most of them stayed for the entire time of the webinar. So it was a very, very good retention. And then at the end of the webinar, we dropped an application link. And within 40 minutes, the calendar was just fully booked for 2.5 weeks. So our constraint wasn't demand anymore, it was capacity. And this is where the system we worked so hard to engineer mattered. So we had 4 setters calling every single applicant to qualify hard and clear out the bad fits. And that freed up a ton of calendar space for more serious buyers. And they then called all the attendees who didn't apply and even registrants who missed the event, sending them the replay and then booking the right ones on the calendar. Just doing everything we can to squeeze the juice out of what results we got from this event. And so the end result over roughly 30 days, we had 199 calls booked, 160 showed, 81 closed at around $4,300, generating over $340,000 in revenue, and with an 85% collection rate, we ended with $290,000 in cash. Plus another dozen or so deals over the following months from people that came from that event but just needed some more time. And because the systems were in place, this wasn't a one-time spike. This client settled into consistently doing multi-six figures per month, with the founders only having to spend about 30 minutes a week getting updates on the sales operation, syncing with marketing, not dozens of hours managing chaos. Now, there are 3 big takeaways from this. 1, a good offer and audience are worthless if your sales machine is broken. Number 2, you can probably scale your revenue by upgrading your team first, restructuring the systems, and fixing the sales process before you pour more money into generating leads. And by doing this first, your ROAS will be much more healthy allowing you to scale more aggressively once you're ready to do that. And number 3 is that one solid, well-run event on top of a good sales system can also do more for you than a year of running a broken sales operation. But you need the right foundation to do this, both from a marketing and from a sales perspective. Now, I'll be honest with you. What I just walked you through is maybe, 20% of the picture. So there's a lot I didn't show you here. The exact setter and closer scripts, as they also evolved over months of iteration, how we handle the price raise, the real dashboards and KPI sheets we use to make daily decisions, how we comped and manage the team week by week, the specific follow-up flows, the event messaging, the internal playbooks, and most importantly, the small tweaks we found along the way that actually moved the needle. And that's the stuff that we reserve for the clients who trust us enough to hand us the keys to the sales operation. And I'm sharing this case study for 2 reasons. 1, so that you can see what's actually possible when you stop treating sales team as if you're random closers on commission and start treating it like an engineered system. And number 2, so you don't go trying to duct tape something together based on the surface level version and end up with a messy clone that barely moves the needle. Because I see that all the time. Great offers with warm audiences, maybe good ads, maybe founders are doing, anywhere just below $100,000 a month manually or with a half-built team. And so they bolt on a either sales agency or they hire some more random closers from Twitter or from Facebook, and it barely takes up. And sometimes it even gets worse. When realistically, with the right sales machine underneath it, those same offers should be doing $150, $250, $300, maybe even $400,000 a month, just like this one. And part of me genuinely just doesn't get it. Why would you sit on a good offer, a real audience, real demand, and just let it bleed revenue month after month on top of dealing with all the headaches? Because the sales operation behind it is held together with duct tape and new people coming and going every month. So look, if you're running an info, coaching, or service business, and you got a real offer, it's a high ticket price point, and you got demand, but you just see yourself in the story. The revenue is capped because the sales machine behind it is broken or non-existent. This is literally what we fix at Closing Consulting. So we come in, we build your team, we take over the entire process, setting up all the tracking systems and the whole shebang, and then we run it for you so that you can actually get out of sales, not just without revenue dropping, but actually while scaling revenue in the process. So if you want to see what that would look like for your business, there's a link in the description below. You can see a little bit more about how we partner with founders, and if it makes sense, reach out and we'll do an audit with you. And if you're watching this as sales talent, you're a strong setter or you're an amazing closer, and you would rather work on offers where we run the operation properly, not just buying another course or joining some random team, we're always looking for great talent. So there's a link below to apply to our talent network, and we'll be in touch. Either way, take this case study as proof. The ceiling you're at right now probably isn't a market problem. It's very often a sales operations problem. So if you fix the machine, the same offer, the same audience can produce a completely different business.